Right, so what's up, John? How are you?
All good, boy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a million for coming on. Um, yeah, so you were just saying that you're managing to get a bit of training in. You're lucky you have a couple of guys around you that can help. Are you finding that that's helping keep you motivated and somebody accountable?
It's grand, yeah. That's the word. Like, just keep on top of yourself. Be accountable, isn't it? Like, because I know that once this all blows over, I'm gonna try bang out the fights now. So I need to come out of this not very very fat. Like, so it's grand.
Yeah, and you had a fight coming up, I think, didn't you?
I was supposed to fight Nathan Epps there last Saturday, but that got put in the back burner. I think I'm supposed to fight in October now, but we'll see. Like, we'll see what way that goes.
Yeah, that would have been a. My understanding is that would have been a big one. That he has a lot of experience, pro experience through not necessarily
Yeah,
but through other sports.
yeah. It was a big fight. Like, he's one of the bigger names in the UK for Thai boxing. Like, so I was only dying to fight him because it's a good scalp to get, especially this early on in my career.
Yeah, and being in a big win in a promotion like Cage Warriors can be big.
It's only good. It can only be good.
So like, how did you get started in martial arts and combat sports? What's your background?
Yeah, so my roots a bit mad, to be honest. Like, the way I started it, because what happened was I was really big into throwing when I was a teenager. Like, I just said I had so much energy growing up that my mom said, Sean, we put something to get rid of all the energy, and rowing's the one to do it. Like, so up until I was 18, I was just doing that, and I went to World Championships and I won a lot of medals. And then once I was 18, I was figuring I could go to a completely new sport, or else I could just hammer the rowing. But I was kind of sick of it at that stage, and I always wanted to fight. Like, so I always kind of fancied myself, thinking it'd be something I'd be good at. Like, and then so once I finished my leaving cert, I just started training as much as I was rowing, which was like 9-10 times a week, and just kept at that, like, and kind of progressed quickly. Here I am.
The but like with Rowan, didn't fancy trying for the Olympics or anything like that?
It was kind of that thing, I was kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place because I wasn't big enough to be a heavyweight. There's only two weights, and for lightweight, I was too big, like. So, I just knew that was probably going to be unrealistic to go to the Olympics, something like that. So I just wanted to be really good at the sport. So instead of just like mediocre, like, so I just knew that I wanted to get fighting a go.
Yeah. So where would you have been based in the Rome? Would you have been with the O'Donovan brothers at any point in time? Or
Uh, yeah, it's mad. Like I was actually always around them when we were teenagers. Like I remember, like I went to the European Championships in Spain, and Paul was there. Paul O'Donovan was there doing his camp. So, like, we were hanging out for those 2 weeks we were there. So I was there all the time. It's mad seeing them blow up then. Like,
yeah, I'd imagine. Kind of they went one way and you ended up going a completely different way.
a very very different way. Yeah.
So then, like, when you said you always fancied yourself a fighting, would you have got into a couple of scuffles when you would have been younger? Or
I hate even saying it because it's the most cliche thing, but anyone that knows me, like once I stopped rowing, I had about 6 months off of just doing my leaving cert, and it was my first time going out properly. And man, I was fighting all the time, like all the time. Like my friends even saying it, when I went to the fighting, they weren't surprised, like, but just stupid stuff you'd be doing as a kid more, you know what I mean? But it's
yeah,
good. It's if you like something, never do it for free, like, so, isn't it?
I think that's the idea. Yeah. So then,
Yeah.
what martial art then did you kind of start with first? What sport did you get into first, and you went looking to go fighting?
So initially, my dad and my granddad, like, there was a big kind of boxing family in my family. So my dad was living in Cavan. So initially, I started actually boxing with this girl, Christina McMahon. She was like Ireland's only professional girl at the time in boxing. And so then I went from there, and then I was back tipping around in a few gyms in Cork, and then I went up boxing in Limerick for a while because I was in college there.
What gym in Limerick were you boxing out of?
St. Francis.
Yeah, that's the main one, and Andy Lee and that would have came out of there.
Yeah. I was only there for 5 months, and then, like, I didn't like that course, so I came back to Cork, and then my MMA gym was in the same gym as my Thai boxing gym, so I just started doing them next at the same time. Then.
Yeah, so it was the plan maybe uh to box originally, but and not MMA, and did you kind of would that have been the plan originally?
Like, originally, I just wanted I didn't really care what it was. I just wanted to start getting in, like, start racking up fights, because I just knew it was something I'd like, and I wanted like, I miss competing from rowing. Like, they're very different sports, but they're more similar in things. So I wanted to just get that feeling competing again, and I also wanted fights. So literally, whatever was coming to me, I was going to take, like. And then the more I looked into it, the more I realized that MMA would probably kind of suit suit my mindset. And, it's very tactical. There's a lot of thinking in it. Like, so that was the next step.
Yeah. So how did you take the jiu-jitsu kind of side and wrestling side of things then?
It definitely took me the longest to get to the jiu-jitsu side. The wrestling, like, I'm fortunate enough that, like, I think my wrestling coach, Aaron McGuire, is the best in the country. Like, so, that was always grand, but the jiu-jitsu is still something I have to work on. Like,
Yeah. Would you?
Anything else, like, if you're doing MMA, like, you can't be particularly really good at everything, like, but you just work on it, like, and you get there then.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you kind of see the mix. It's kind of, you have to be like, balls deep in one and just be 100% really, really good at that, like, high level, or else you need to have that very good mix of everything. Like, you can see some guys get away with being, just because they're so high level in one, they can get away with that. But the guys who are generally are kind of and coming to it late, they need to be a mix of everything.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what you don't want is you don't want there to be a set blueprint to beat you. Like, like, unless you're the elite of the elite, like in like Khabib and wrestling. But what you don't want is like to be a guy that you're a really good jiu-jitsu guy, but you're going to get flogged on your feet, or you're a really good Thai boxer, but we just drill takedowns for the full camp, and if you get down, you're done. So definitely mixed is better. Like,
yeah, I think especially like that when you haven't been, like you said, with guys like Khabib, or you look at maybe a Damian Maia or one of the Kron Grace, guys who have maybe been doing that since they're 4 or 5 years of age. It's like that's kind of, they have that so much experience in that. But like, if you don't have time to make up that, you need to kind of have kind of really round out your game.
Yeah, and you see that with like like Leon Edwards. So you see, like, a guy, Leon Edwards didn't start it there at like 8 years old. Like, he started as a teenager sometime, and he's he beat Damian Maia, or he beat Gunnar Nelson. Do you know what I mean? Just because he's good at everything. He's good at MMA as a sport, so that'd be the goal.
Yeah, I think that's what I think you're seeing more of. All right, is guys who are good at the sport all around, and not necessarily one discipline.
Yeah, it's a beat. So if you look at the beat, he can do everything.
Yeah, it's I put him against someone like Max Holloway now will be very interesting to see. It's that one is, I think everybody wants to watch.
Yeah, that would be unreal to see. Definitely.
So then, like, after you started, then did you get in, take and fight? Like you said, you wanted to fight. Did you get into fighting then straight away, or did you spend much time kind of training and developing skills?
When I started, I was always just asking to fight, so I actually got into them fairly quick. Like, the first day I had my first ever Thai boxing fight, I had a novice MMA competition at the same time, but I thought they'd be further apart. Like, so my old fella still has a heart attack about this. Like I had my Thai boxing fight, and it was an absolute war. It was like my first one. I didn't realize, because I used to boxing where it's a bit more like jab and move, and this Thai box fight was just a war. And then the second that finished, I'd run over and do the novice MMA corner. Competition was just across the way, like. And then I just kept fighting actively enough, like, so I was always busy.
And busy across a couple of different sports. By the sounds of it, did you do like a mix of Muay Thai, K1, and MMA at that time?
Yeah, I never actually fought K1 in the end, but I did Thai boxing. I went to Thailand. I was fighting Thai boxing, and then once I started fighting MMA, I was fighting MMA very actively, and there was only kind of like sporadic boxing fights in between that. Then, like, but yeah, I pretty much mixed them all together. And I did the odd one or two jiu-jitsu competitions as well on the way.
Yeah, so do you think that kind of helped as well? It helped the MMA side of your game, kind of trying to like competing in some disciplines nearly individually and then bringing them all together?
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you kind of get like one thing with Thai boxing is like people that have done Thai boxing MMA will tell you, like, it's an absolute scrap, Thai boxing. Like, it's just a war. Like, even if you win, you come out very, very sore. So I think just getting used to kind of being in that firefight definitely made me a lot calmer going into the MMA fights. Like,
yeah. So like you had, because you had if I'm right, you had a kind of a good lot of amateur MMA fights. Like, you see a lot of, they don't take much time at amateur. They want to rush to the pros. But I think you had, like, was it 13, 14 amateur MMA fights?
Yeah, I had 14 altogether, because, like, I was thinking I'm in no rush. Like, my whole plan was, I wanted to achieve things as an amateur and then go pro, because how long are you going to be pro for? A good while anyway, and I want it done right. So, like, I wanted to make sure I was UK and Irish #1 before I went, and I achieved that. And I wanted to make sure that I just felt very relaxed in there. So, like, when I had my last amateur fight, when I walked out, I felt so relaxed that I knew after I was ready for pro. And it was only, and then when I had my pro debut, it just felt like any other day to me. Like, so that was kind of the goal. I was in no rush.
Yeah, like you said, like I think if you have some guys maybe coming from, like they started maybe on the feet, they were competing in combat sports at a young age. You would have competed a lot. Like I know, but just maybe like kickboxing, even guys maybe coming from taekwondo. Like there's a lot of competition when you're younger. You're used to getting in there, and then like it's that kind of feeling of stepping in. Like you're used to competition and fighting. So maybe when you change over to something like that, it's not as new. But I think like like you said, you were kind of, I suppose, on the scheme of it a little bit later. So it was good to get that kind of experience and learn on the job and stay competitive and stay active.
Yeah, 100%. You're dead right. Like I think by the time I made my pro debut in between every sport, I had 34, 35 fights. And they weren't 35. Like they were all like so a lot of them hard enough. Like so, by the time it came around, I just felt like I'd done it since I was 8. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just to catch it. Is there a standout fight from your time as amateur?
Yeah, like the one I enjoyed the most was when I fought this Romanian fella. Actually, the one I probably enjoyed the most was for my first title fight. I fought this guy, Elliot Levy, and at the time I was only kind of coming on to it. I had 3 amateur fights, and I think he had 11 fights or 10 fights, and he was like a big name up in SBG at the time, and he was all the hype, And I just remember like, it was just an absolute scrap, you know what I mean? Like all my friends there, it was just nuts. Like so that was probably my favorite fight because it was my first ever title as well. But like every fight I kind of learned different things from, because my whole thing about amateur was like I kind of approached them all differently, because I knew once I got to pro I wanted to have it well tweaked. So like some of the fights I went in like super aggressive, some of the fights I went in super relaxed, just to figure it all out. Like so I had a few favorite ones and a few least favorite ones, definitely.
And what like that title fight, what promotion would that have been on?
Cage Legacy.
Yeah, because you fought across a good few promotions as an amateur.
Yeah, we were just taking them as they came. Anytime we could jump on them, we jumped on them. So yeah.
I presume when you said your friends were at that one, was that one of the ones that would have been on in Cork at the time?
That was actually the ones up in Drogheda. See, like my friends always, there's always big enough crowds coming to them, but that was like, I think the first time they all saw me fight properly, So it was like, they all started coming after that one.
The word got round then that this would be a bit of crack to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So
watching it outside McDonald's.
Yes. Have you seen? So you fought in. I'm presuming you have fought in Neptune and close to home.
Yeah, a good few times. Yeah. My pro debut was in Neptune.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And would you say they've been the best ones as well in terms of atmosphere, that you get that home crowd?
100%, man. Like, and Joe, Neptune's special as well, because you even get like all these Thai boxers that like say that Neptune is one of the best atmospheres in Europe. Because if you ever go there, like, geez, there's nothing really professional about it, man. There's like beer dripping from the wall nearly. It's absolutely packed. Like, and as well, the thing about Cork is like word spread so quickly. Like there was people that have no interest in MMA going just because it was a big night out there. Like, so it's always special there. It's mental. Like, so
yeah, I'd imagine that there can be this thing of like, there's this thing going on up in Neptune there Saturday. Sure, we'll go up and have a look. It's kind of, there's a bit of fighting going on.
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily have a clue what sport, but it could be like that. It could be a bit of crack to watch.
100%, yeah. They're like, even for Cage Warriors, it's sold out. Like there was serious buzz going around about it,
Yeah, I think I was going to try and get down to watch it, but I think there was something else on. I had something else on that weekend, but because like a promotion like Cage Warriors to come and go to Neptune is big.
Yeah, and they're going to make it a base, like like my dream is to fight for that lightweight title in Cork, Cage Warriors, So there'll be some buzz around that too. You'll have to come down to that one.
Yeah, that's it. I need to get to more of these cards, but like that, it depends on the time of year. Like my own training kind of sometimes takes over, but So you didn't do any of the IMAF competitions as an amateur, did you?
I did one, yeah. I did the Europeans, and I fought the seller from where was it, Moldova first, and I knocked him out. And then I fought this guy, Issa Isakov, and like he's fighting for a Brave World title professionally now. He's really good, man, and he absolutely slapped me around. So like I learned so much from him. Like he just Khabib'd me, like, you know what I mean? He just took me down.
Yeah. And was there any particular reason why you didn't do more of them, or was it just you went more to kind of Saturday night?
It was yeah, like I was just kind of the way I was going. Like they were expensive as well, and like I kind of like the whole thing of like, you know, like Saturday night you show up and you fight like just like it's going to be when a professional, you know, and the way cut and the build up to it. So it's just the way they felt. Like with my coach and stuff like that, he decided he wanted me to do more of those.
Yeah, because actually, it was last week I was talking to Liam Moog on the podcast, and he kind of said that he nearly feels that the IMAF is amateur, the Saturday night show is nearly semi-pro, and then obviously you have your pro after that you have kind of pro, that's kind of that the Saturday night show is more like it is a good bridge nearly between amateur and the pro game.
Yeah, he's dead right. Like especially because the one thing IMAF does, like we were saying earlier, like it just gets you so used to that mat time, and then like it and as well, Joe, there's like, especially they're not in Ireland, like, so there's not that whole thing of like, it's a different feel if it's a Saturday night and your friends are there, everyone's looking at you, Joe. It's a different feel to it. Like you have to get used to that too. But he's right,
yeah, and I like that. And you have that kind of, you're starting to have to sell tickets for some of these Saturday night shows, even as an amateur. It's even on that side, it gets you ready for the pros.
100%. It's even like Donald Cerrone, he was saying, he's like, Joe, if someone like walked up to fight him like in the middle of the street, like you wouldn't be afraid of that. He's like, and fighters aren't afraid of like getting beat up or hurt. What they're afraid of is losing in front of fucking 2,000 people. You know what I mean? So
that's the harsh thing, I suppose. Everybody sees you lose. Everybody sees you get knocked the fuck out, kind of a thing. It's that's
the game, like, you know what I mean?
It takes a hit more so than anything physical.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be better by the time you get up, like. But you know, it's everything else with it, like. But they might see you knock someone out too, so that's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's the joy of it. So, like that, would you have liked to have maybe done more IMAF shows if there wasn't, obviously, like you said, the cost associated with doing them?
No, I was pretty happy, but with what I did, like, you know, I felt like I was fighting everyone that was good in the UK, and I was fighting everyone that was good in Ireland, so I was pretty content with doing that, you know. Like I felt like it prepared me very well then for pro.
Yeah. So then, what prompted the switch over to pro? Was it just you felt like you had achieved kind of what you wanted to achieve as an amateur, and that it was just time?
Yeah, like I would have gone pro as soon as my coach let me, but you know, like I felt like I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve, like I was saying, and also he did. And it was always like Aaron telling me when I was ready to go, and he thought I was ready, so he sent me then. So that was it, like.
And was it the plan straight away to try and get on a Cage Warriors card, or was that just kind of something that kind of you got a lucky break?
It was just very good timing, like that might have pushed us to go as well, like, because Joe Cage Warriors was coming to Cork, like a lot of people, if they have their pro debut, it might be on like some smaller show, like I was the main card of Cage Warriors for my pro debut, like, so it's just perfect, like, you know what I mean? And I got a contract out of it, so.
Yeah, I think the Cage Warriors kind of coming to Ireland more is kind of going to be massive for MMA in Ireland. That there's a lot of people that it's the proven route. It is a proven route to the UFC, and obviously we haven't seen many people since, I suppose, McGregor really get to the UFC and that kind of crop. So I think Cage Warriors coming to Ireland, putting on more cards, will open up that path to more Irish guys to the UFC. So I think it's massive for the sport.
Definitely, yeah. And like Joe, like if you could see the buzz around Cork, it was like everyone was an MMA fan for that 1 week only. You know what I mean? So it's really good for the sport.
Yeah. So like, how many fights do you think it'll take you with Cage Warriors to maybe get a shot at the lightweight belt?
I don't know, like you know, like it's one thing like racking up the fights, but it's another thing racking up and winning the hard fights. Like you know, that fight against Nathan Epps, like, could you get a harder fight than that, like, for your second pro fight? You know what I mean? So like that was going to be a good one. So I don't know, I've no idea. Like, I'll just take it one fight at a time. Hopefully not too many.
Yeah, I think because there can sometimes be some turnover in Cage Warriors with guys moving on to, you know, like that UFC. You can, if you put a couple of fights together, it doesn't take too long before you could be in a title position.
Yeah, you just got to stay ready, and you never know what way it'll bounce, you know. So, like typically guys are getting there after 7 fights, you know. So that's not too far away. You know, it's 2 years.
Yeah, even like that, like, someone like, I suppose, Ian Gary is, what's he? I think he's 3-0 and has been in Cage Warriors, and like similar, like probably about 7 fights time. After 7 fights, he'll be hoping to maybe have a shot at a title.
Yeah, definitely even less. Like, so he seems to nearly be knocking at the door already. Like, so that just shows you, you know.
Yeah, like you said, like guys like that. Cage Warriors it'd be great to see guys like that, like yourself and other people like Ian, and I push into the UFC.
Yeah, 100%. Like so when you see guys like Ian Gary and Paul Hughes and like Reece McKee, like that's bringing all our Irish fighters up. It's class. It's unreal to see. It's great.
Yeah, because it's kind of a shame when you look at like the biggest name in the UFC is an Irish guy, but then you
Do
look
you know what I
below
mean? So
and you look below that, and it's like, where are the rest of these Irish guys?
yeah, fact. And there was a few glory years for a while. Like, remember when Paddy Houlihan and Colin Pendred and all those boys were fighting in the UFC? Like, you know, I think we're going to be the next wave of that. Like, that's why I was looking forward to. I think like there's like those lads like Ian Gary, Reece, and Joe, and all those. But I'm trust me, like I'm going to be up there now soon after these next few fights. Like, and I think we're the next wave going to go into it. You know.
Yeah, because like it spoke that it was the golden generation, and that this was just kind of the start when all those guys kind of made a bit of a breakthrough. But it's somewhat you kind of never, you're kind of looking at it going, well, where were they? I suppose a lot of other those guys maybe went to Bellator now, so I think you're nearly looking past those guys again, and like it is guys like yourself and the guys you named.
Yeah, definitely. Joe, the UFC seems to be the goal for us. Like, if we're in Cage Warriors, we're only getting hard fights. Like, so we want to be worth something.
Well, like, do you think if Bellator came and offered a decent contract, would you go that way, or would you kind of turn it down and try and hang out for the UFC?
Right now I'd hang out for the UFC anyway. That's my goal. Do you know, like I'm sure maybe just UFC's the goal. I want to be in Cage Warriors. I want to fight in UFC. So that's the plan for now, and that's what my coaches and managers are telling me to do as well. So, you know, they know best.
Yeah. I suppose if you're any of the young guys, I suppose you can afford to hang out a small bit. I think if you start to push on a bit and you're looking at, well, I don't have maybe many fights left, then, you know, maybe a Bellator, maybe another route could be best then. But like that, you're still young, I suppose, and holding
Time
out
to
is,
burn.
yeah.
Yeah, and Joe, you'll cut your teeth in Cage Warriors. Even like me and Paul Hughes and Igari, or any of those lads that you named. Like, I don't think any of us really had easy fights on Cage Warriors at all. Like, so we're all probably getting better after all those fights. Like I certainly, I got dropped in my pro debut. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people get an easy one. Like, so it's going to make us better regardless.
Yeah. So what you kind of you stopped? Did you stop you stopped the guy in your pro debut? Did you?
No, decision.
But you kind of, I think it was a grinder, like you kind of were sitting on top of him and kind of grinded out the win. Is that right?
No, Orwin was just a war boy. I don't think he went to the ground at all. He was just fucking.
I think I saw a clip of you. I saw a clip. I haven't went back and watched the full thing, but I saw a couple of clips. I saw you at one time firing down some elbows.
Oh yeah, that was like at the end of the second round. But besides that, like, your man I was fighting was just tough as they come, man. Like, I hit him with a load of elbows. I kneed him in the face. Like, landed so many clean shots, and he just was not stopping. Like, so it was like a Thai boxing fight, really.
Yeah. So do you think that was a good? Do you think it was a good introduction to the pro game?
Unreal, man. Because like, Joe, if I just went out there and chinned someone there in a minute, like, I wouldn't have learned anything. But, you know, I learned so much from that fight. I learned how to pace myself. I learned what it was like to be in the small gloves. So it was great. It was unreal for me. I loved it.
And did you feel much of a change going to the 5-minute rounds?
I actually didn't really. I thought I would have maybe more, but like I was saying, Joe, I had so many amateur fights behind me at that point that it just felt like fighting. You know what I mean? And I was well prepared with my gym, so I just went into it and did it. You know.
Yeah, because I know from some of the guys who have switched over from like taekwondo, like where it's a short bout, it's 2 2-minute rounds, and then the guys like they've switched over and it's like, well, now you have the longer rounds of it's 3 rounds and it's longer, and then it's now they're going pro and it's like, well, now it's longer again, so it's an adjustment.
Yeah, but that's all. It's just an adjustment because, like, I'd say, like, Joe, if you're doing your 2 2-minute rounds, it's probably a way quicker pace. Like, but like the 5-minute, like, you can't sprint 15 minutes. You know, you gotta tip along a bit more. You know, so that's all. You'd be well able.
Yeah. So what does a training schedule, I suppose, kind of look for you when it's a normal week? Not so much right now.
Yeah, well, right now it's all over the place, but well, generally, kind of Monday starts with conditioning in the morning, and then Monday evenings like jujitsu. I've kind of like three, and then Tuesday, fuck it off the top of my head now, would be like MMA, and then they'd be like probably jiu-jitsu in the morning. I'm kind of generally training twice a day every day. I have three strength conditioning sessions, like, and then on jiu-jitsu and wrestling sessions, and then on Thursday I go up to Dublin and I train with Collie Mahin and I do all Thai boxing, and yeah, just then more wall wrestling. It's fairly standard. About I think I'm like 9 or 10 sessions a week, and I take Fridays off. Like,
Yeah, and then like who would look after you? Like, do you look after your own strength and condition, or do you have somebody who would program that? Would you have a coach working with you?
yeah, so Rob Burns is my strength conditioning coach, and he's a beast himself. Like, but he's also some man to coach. Like, so he made a big difference to my game. He put on like about I'd say nearly 5 kg of just muscle on me, like, since, and fighting at the same weight since I took him on about a year ago.
Yeah, and was before that? Would you have been looking after all your own S&C stuff?
No, I Dave DuPont working with me as well, and he was great as well, you know. But Rob was kind of the one then that did it with me consistently for the last year, you know.
Yeah. So, and is it what type of, a lot of explosive kind of stuff, or?
He mixes it. Like a lot of it's like it's nothing like I bulged a disc in my back there a while ago, so it's nothing like I never lifted that heavy a weight. Like, what I'm all doing is just like I'm just constantly at it, you know, because I'm constantly training. So just like a lot of kettlebells, a lot of push-ups, just standard enough stuff. And then coming up to the fight, like the weight drops down more and the intensity goes up a lot more, you know. And then we start adding in sprints and stuff like that.
Yeah. So then, like in terms of, like you said, put on about 5 kilos of muscle. Do you have to cut much weight then to get down to lightweight?
I do indeed. I do indeed. Anyone that's around me will tell you. You know, like I empathize more with Darren Till every year. So yeah.
I have some experience myself. Like I'm only a small guy. Compete at the 57 kilos, and it can be a struggle to get that. Well, not a struggle. I do it like it has been a struggle before, you know. But once you kind of research it and you look into it, and you're strict with yourself, you can. It's tough in the end, but like you'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
that last little bit is always that slog.
Oh man, no matter what weight that last bit, like it's doable, but there's nothing pleasant about it, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had the feeling of you're kind of getting through the last bit and went, "I'm never doing this again"?
every time, man, every time I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go to welterweight, and then I see the lads that are walking around at welterweight, and I'm like, nah, I'm happy at lightweight, it's worth it.
Yeah. I always find once you've got off the scales, you've drank some water, you've had a little bit of food, you kind of think back to yourself. You go, do you know what? It wasn't that bad. I could do that again. And it could only be a
Oh,
couple of minutes later, but you're thinking to yourself, it
jeez.
wasn't that bad.
I think it's about 2 weeks. I'd be thinking about that again, man. I'd be scared from the things like the fights are a good crack, but the weight cut. Oh, there's nothing worse, man. It's that like 24 hours before it, and you haven't drank or eaten it, then they're dismal.
Yeah, there's the lack of sleep because you have the dry mouth and you can't see.
Yeah,
It's that's the thing. Like, it's nearly not ideal, I suppose, to go. You know, it's the necessary evil, but it's not like if you can't when you're not sleeping. I suppose it could affect your performance and stuff. But like you said, you
definitely.
can't.
Joe, like, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Not good.
Yeah. No, there's a. It's you just got to do it right. You know what I mean? It's like fighting itself. It's a skill to it. You know, like they say, like, is Dominic Cruz says the last training session's making weight. Like, so you just got to do it right. You know, then it's not too bad. But it can be very bad for performance. You know yourself if you don't do it right.
Yeah, it was actually I was listening to. I don't know if you would have heard Thomas Barada. He would be big in taekwondo and kickboxing. I don't know if you would have heard of him from your own background, but he was saying, I was listening to him on an interview yesterday, and he said like he used to treat the weigh-in, it was 50% of the competition, and
Oh,
you know,
really?
that was kind of his mindset. Is like, right, the first one is beat the scales, and then the next one is then right now beat the other guys. That's how he used to kind of keep himself on track and get through it. That was his I suppose mindset, which
Yeah. And there's a good bit of truth to that. Like you know, they say, don't the UFC say it's official once they weigh in, like then it's on, like, but yeah, the fight can't happen until you make weight, like, so it's definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you have anybody on board with you that kind of would look after your nutrition and the weight cut kind of things?
Yeah, so Yannick McGee Nutrition does my nutrition for me. He's unreal, man. If he can get me to lightweight, he's a fucking miracle worker. Like, so he does it with me.
Yeah. So they like, what would you walk around at then, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure, don't worry about that. Just know that I make 70.
Yeah, I suppose nobody really wants to say what they walk around that it's
Yeah, it's like asking a girl her age, man.
Yeah, it's always, you always ask the guys, it's like, right, what weight are you? And they tell you, it's like, right, well, we'll add on 2 kilos anyway. It's gonna,
at least, yeah.
They'll tell you something that, yeah, it's always add on that little bit extra.
Yeah.
So did you have any amateur fights where it was weigh in and fight the same day?
Yeah, so most of them were. So like when I was amateur, I was fighting at welterweight a lot. And just that was it, like weighing on the day and fight that night, like, and it was grand, like them were the days, you know. But and it was a different feel to it as well, because like Joe, like you were saying about your man there, that 50% of the fights the weigh-in, you nearly think about the fight differently, when I think anyway, because Joe, if you're 8 weeks out and you're cutting weight, you're on it every day, you're living that life, you know, so it nearly keeps you a bit more focused, if anything, like.
Yeah, I suppose that, like, I definitely feel the same, and it kind of, when you're taking that last bit off, it nearly feels it right. It's go time nearly, you know. It's that kind of
100%.
I kind of feel like it in my mind says like, well, this fella, like, especially the guy you've seen the draw, and the guy I know I'm fighting for, Sean, is like, well, this fella's fucking getting it because he's after putting me through this, and it's like, you're nearly taking it. It's nearly his fault that you're in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, but Jesus, definitely, like, if ever you needed an excuse to go into a cage and hit someone, like that's it. Like, Joe, you've 7 weeks of missing out and stuff. Like, I remember, like, when I fought in Cage Warriors, like it was the week before I graduated for college, you know. The week before I graduated college, and like, Joe, everyone went for dinner and everything, and I couldn't even go for like an after, like, a dinner with my family. Like, I had to get fucking soup or something, like, so I like could not wait to fight.
But do you find that maybe sometimes, I don't know if it's happened to yourself, but I think it's maybe happened to me, and I know it's happened to other people that I've been around, is where through training they nearly become too focused on making weight and not enough on preparing for the fight? Do you think that could be something that maybe not necessarily yourself has fallen into, but do you think that is something that some people could fall into?
Definitely, yeah. And you know, I've done it in like my very early days Thai boxing. I was kind of like that, you know. But Yannick, my nutritionist, is unreal for all that, because like, Joe, all my training is based around my all my food is based around my training schedule, because like he says, like, you're making weight to perform, Joe. You're not making weight just to hit the number, you know. So like, we're on top of that nowadays, but that's definitely a trap you could easily fall in, especially if lads starting out, like, because like suddenly the weight becomes the biggest deal, you know.
Yeah, and then you step on the scales, you're thinking about the food you're going to eat, and then all of a sudden you remember, oh, there's a fight there tomorrow, or there's a fight this week.
Yeah,
or, you know.
and John Kavanagh
You
talks
fight
about
in a couple of
that.
hours.
Like, that's the thing. John Kavanagh talks about that as well. He's like, Joe, the weigh-in's only a little bit of it. Like, the fight's the big bit. Like, so like, lads nearly relax once they make the weight. Like, they need to switch back on.
Yeah, and so you mentioned as well there that, like, you were in college and before you made your pro debut. How do you find balancing college and maybe work and going a pro career?
It's good, yeah. You just need to have a serious good bit of time management, you know, and just be on top of it. But one thing about going to college and not working full time, it's flexible. Like, so I was always able to train and travel to train and do more stuff. Like, but I'll be happy to see the end of this masters now in 2 weeks. Like, so this coronavirus is good only because it got me to finish my masters in time, because I don't know how I would have done it with fighting Nathan Epps right in the middle of it. Like, so.
Yeah. And what are you studying in college?
Sports and exercise management in UCD.
And that's a master's. What would you have done beforehand? Would you have done something similar along the same lines?
I did like commerce, so like, and major in economics in UCC.
And then sports. Are you planning? Are you expecting to use those degrees, or is MMA where most of the bread is going to be earned?
Yeah, well, like, Joe, the way I think about it is, like Joe, college was great because it got me to this level where like really my attendance wasn't that great in college. Like I was mostly just training and fighting and stuff like that. So I pretty much felt like I was training as a full-time athlete. Like but now I have all the backing behind me because as I got my degree, I went pro as well. So now I'm in a position where for these next 2 years I'm going to focus on just going pro and just fulfilling that. But like you can't fight forever. So like I have everything behind me now just to give pro a go without the stress of knowing that I'll have to go back and do all this stuff.
Yeah, I know two guys would have been. I don't know if you would have heard Adam and Ryan Shelley.
From Team KF.
Yeah. So they would have been a taekwondo background. So we would have competed together in taekwondo years, like nearly 10 years. But they kind of have done the same. Of like I know Adam had finished his degree and then was turning pro, and Ryan's kind of doing the same, is staying amateur till he's finished his time in college and then focus on pro. But like that, it'll be will probably be the main focus, and then like that, if things at the end of fighting, they still have the degrees to go back on.
100%, and like men of my own heart. So like, you know what I mean? That was kind of my plan as well. Like, so, and I'm ready just to keep hammering pro now.
Yeah, and it's like, just like you, in terms of like Nathan Epps, he has made nearly, I suppose, double your fights. Do you think that was going to make much of a difference, or?
Well, I think he has like 62 pro fights, yeah. But like, so he's 0 fights in my sport, like, you know what I mean? So, welcome to MMA.
All right. So okay, I suppose giving too much away, is the plan to go in and would it be to take him down and I suppose introduce him to that kind of side of the game?
Oh Jesus, yeah! You can tell him if you see him. Like, tell him I said that. Like, that was the plan, of course. Like, you know what? I'm it's not like I don't like to Thai box myself, but you know, obviously, when you look at a fight, like MMA is quite strategic. So you always kind of look at like what way do I lose this fight? What way do I win this fight? And like, you know, often the line's blurry. Like, say, like with the last one I fought, he was good. He's good stand up and good ground game. So you know, you just had to be better than me. But like, Joe, for Nathan Epps, like, okay, I could maybe go in there, go to war, like, I don't think, and just try smash him up with my hands as well, you know, or I could just take him down. So there was a clear way I was going to win. So that was it, go take him down.
Yeah. And where was that fight was meant to be on Birmingham or show? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it, but yeah, Birmingham.
Would that have been your first time kind of fighting outside of Ireland, going to the UK to fight, or were you fighting over and back anyway?
Yeah, no, I fought in UK a few times, and I fought in Thailand, and I fought in Romania. Like, so it was all I was used to it nearly at that stage. Like, I was looking forward to the trip.
In terms of Thailand, would you have been like, what type of fighting did you? Was it some of the stadium stuff or?
Yeah, I was fighting in Bangla Boxing Stadium. It was some buzz. It was nuts.
Yeah, what was that like? Was it you were just out there kind of and you were training and decided to take a fight, or did you go out there specifically for a fight?
That was it. Like, I was only young. I was 20. Like, and I fought this guy Alan Marin Batista, and like he had 25 professional fights, and I think I had no full Thai rules professional fights, and like we had a 5-round fucking war. Like, so, and Joe was in the middle. It was just some experience, man, and like it grew me up a lot because like now when I fight any of these Irish lads, I don't feel nearly as freaked knowing that I fought him, you know. So I felt what that's like.
Yeah, some of those Thai shows look crazy.
Like nuts, boy. Like in the fight before me, like your man broke his arm and they just rubbed Thai oil on it and out he went. Like, you know, it was just nuts.
Yeah, they're a different breed, aren't they? Like
they put a bit of hair in your chest, alright.
You see, like what a lot of promotions have to go through in Ireland to get the amateur shows on, and you see them what they're doing out there with very little. It's like it's night and day.
It's crazy, man. Like, even I saw so many like young fellas smacking each other with elbows, like, and over here, like, geez, like we a lot of adult shows don't get cancelled, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, so like was it the Cage Legacy show last year? Kind of had a couple of things that way, like even they had to postpone it and push it back a little bit.
Yeah. There's always kind of issues around it, like.
Yeah, like, look, I suppose it's great that it's safe and that fighters are taken care of, but as well, like that guys need to be active and getting mat time and competition.
100%, and like it's just a lot of it just comes down to misconception. Like, you know, a lot of boxing fights are a lot worse than the MMA fights, and Thai boxing fights are most certainly in my experience of it more a lot worse for you than the MMA fights. Like, so it's just a negative perception around it at the moment, you know. But hopefully that passes now in the next few years. That's why Cage Warriors coming to Cork is good, like, because it kind of shows people that it's well better run than they think, you know.
Yeah, I just found that like I suppose I had me and Liam all kind of chatted about it for a small bit as well, is that some of the press that MMA gets in the media, and I suppose most notably it's pretty much Joe Brawley has a platform in the Independent that he doesn't he likes to rip into MMA a bit. Like what would you kind of, what would be your take? What would you say to people maybe who don't have an idea or a view on the sport?
Yeah, like Joe, it's just that sport. Like, it's just people just think you're locking each other in the cages, and it's just this animalistic thing. But you know yourself from competing in martial arts, it's so much more than that. Like, what it takes to go in there is just probably one of the hardest sports in the world in terms of like the sacrifice, the hard work, the mental, like the building the character. So I don't know, like if they don't like it, it's not for them. But I like it, so they won't be at the shows anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, as it was Liam Mogg made the point that like someone like Joe Brawley, you're not going to change his opinion. It's the people who are maybe on the fence. You'd be hoping you could maybe show there is a good side to the sport. But like 100%. That, you're saying like that, you know, you kind of started maybe getting in scuffles outside McDonald's, and you ended up going into MMA and taking up, actually, like you say, getting paid for it and taking up as a sport. Have you found that? Did you find that stopped? That suddenly on nights out, fighting out, that stopped?
Of course, man. Like, and you know, I've seen it absolutely transform kids coming into our gym in every aspect, like their confidence, but even their cop on, and it makes them more humble. Like, especially for me, like my coaches would tell you, I was absolutely mental when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just it's gone the other way now. Like, and like I accredit this sport to so much of my life. Like, I even accredit to like how well I was doing academically and stuff like that was because of, like, you know, all the time management you were learning from martial arts and everything, you know. So it is so many positive effects, and even like it has a lot of effects you won't find in a team sport. Like, you know, if you're playing hurling, like you're kind of hidden stuff. Like in fighting, it's very real. Like, you have to learn how to deal with losses like a man. You have to learn how to, you know, deal with pressure and everything. So yeah, that's my take on
it. Yeah, definitely. I just find myself like any I suppose nearly real life lessons nearly have been learned through competition in martial arts. It's like anything you need to you could think you can apply to life, you can nearly apply through competition in martial arts. Like,
yeah, 100%. I really agree with that. You know, so it's great. Like, it's certainly what my kids will be going into anyway.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, like that, if more kids take it up, and even if it's like the goal isn't to be a world champion or a UFC champion or whatever it is, if it's a goal, just if it's a bit of time and you can learn and take something from it, then it'll have been a benefit.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I remember, like, one of the first few things, like, Aaron McGuire, my coach, was saying to me, he was like, you know, like, Joe, if you can do this sport and, like, you can walk into a cage and you can face, like, all this stuff, he's like, that translates into everything else you do. He's like, Joe, if you want to go up and tell a girl she's good looking and you want her number, like, you won't be afraid to do that if you've walked into a cage and you're jocks to fight someone. Like, even if you have a boss giving out to you at work, like, you know, before that might have freaked you out. Sure, now, if you're used to some fella trying to take your head off, like, those issues aren't as big anymore. So it's great for you. Like, it certainly benefited me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, gives some perspective.
100%. Yeah, that's the word, perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, so you said maybe 7 fights to the UFC, or sorry, to the Cage Warriors title. How many fights would you reckon? Obviously, if everything goes to plan in terms of wins, how many fights do you reckon it could be to a UFC push?
So I've no idea. Like just what I'm going to do is just like I think you can get wrapped up for always kind of thinking like, what I just do is train hard every day, twice a day. Just worry about that next fight that comes up, and just worry about that guy. And like as an amateur, like I never lost an Ireland ever in MMA. Like, just adopting that, you know, I was the top guy there for years. Like, so I just took it time one after one, and eventually, if my hard work just keeps paying off, like, so I don't know. Hopefully, not that long. It'd be unreal if I was in there by 26, 27.
Yeah, I like, but if the UFC are going to start coming back to Dublin more regular, then there's going to be guys getting more opportunities.
Yeah, man, why not? Like, you know, anytime this stuff all sounds unrealistic, just think that the best fella, the pound for pound best fella in the world is Irish and my weight. Like, that's some guy up the road. Like, you know what I mean? So why can't it be me too?
Yeah, And would maybe, I don't know if the UFC Dublin card is going to happen this year, but if it was to come back next year, would you fancy maybe getting on that card?
No, not yet. Like John, I'm in no rush here. I was like, my manager was kind of saying I was going to try get this guy be 2-0. I was going to ask for this other guy in Belfast be 3-0, fighting Cork be 4-0. Then if it came around, but like then I was kind of thinking like this virus has been a good time to stop and think. Like I'm in no rush. I like any of the fights I rushed in amateur were just didn't like even those I won. I didn't really it didn't go the way I wanted them to go. So I'm just going to take my time with this.
Yeah, I suppose. I say you can nearly get away with it at amateur rush in some fights, I think, because when you do turn pro, whatever happened to amateur is pretty much gone because you're 0-0 again every day. It's a clean slate as a pro. But
100%.
Then
Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, like when sorry, go on. Like when I get into the UFC, like I want to be there because I worked hard. And I want to be there because I'm ready, and I want to be there because I'm ready to fight the best lads in the world. I don't just want to be there because it came and I just happened to be the Irish, the fucking Paddy ready to jump in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like that, I think like we spoke about yourself and some names there. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's going to be some guys who will be on those cards who will be there because they deserve to be there.
100%, definitely. Like I really think we're the next wave of it. Like, and I'm excited to see it happen now over the next few years.
Yeah, and so like you mentioned your coach. What background is because you would have been training out of as well, like BJJ Cork. Is that right? Is that all kind of linked together as one gym?
Yeah, so it was BJJ Cork, but Aaron Maguire was our MMA coach, and it's MMA Cork, but the gyms are still linked. Like if we get belts in jiu-jitsu, we get it off Liam Beechner, who's the black belt, the BJJ Cork.
Yeah, so that gym's around quite a while then, isn't it?
Yeah, and Liam has is it 5 or 6 black belts there as well? Like it's an unbelievable gym, especially just to have that in Cork. To have that many black belts around the place. So it's there a good while. I think Liam was the first lad to bring BJJ to Cork.
Yeah, are you up in the belts in BJJ or are you
no? See, I rarely ever wear the gi, man. So like, I just train mostly MMA and no gi. Like, so I'm blue. Like, I'd like to fight a few belts there now in MMA and just see how it goes, just to prove a thing or two. Like, but yeah, for now, blue.
Do you think at some point maybe you might go back into the gi and look to push up through the belts?
I always kind of thought I would, but yeah, I've a lot of things to do in MMA there now first, like before I go into the retirement plan. But yeah,
yeah,
at some point.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's always something that's there. It's not there's guys getting black belts like who are into their 40s and stuff, and that it's not something that's because of this type of sport. It's not overly age restricted, I suppose, on when you can progress. No,
and it's a great bunch of lads up in that gym, like, and that would just be a great social club as well, like as a if you want to do that when you're a bit older, like.
Yeah, and you mentioned going to Dublin then as well for some Thai boxing stuff. What gym is that out of? I know you mentioned the guys. What gym is he training out of then?
It's Dublin Combat Academy up in Dublin. It's in Drumcondra. So it's like Collie Mahan would be my head striking coach up there.
Is that the same gym as Craig Coakley? Am I wrong? Is that his
That's
gym?
The one. Yeah. That's him, yeah.
Yeah, they have. Looks like a good gym up there. Some good fighters fighting out of there as well.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Like if you spar Craig, you know what I mean? Like he is unbelievable. Like, God help people if he ever goes to MMA.
yeah, that would be interesting actually, because he's one of the I suppose one of the top stand-up guys in Ireland in that kind of sport, in that kind of style. So it could be interesting to see him go to something like MMA and see how he gets on.
Yeah, 100%. One of the top stand-up lads in the world, really. So definitely, man, it'd be unreal to see that.
Yeah. Did you have any inkling to maybe go and fight in any of those? Is it Yako? Is that how you say it? Yako cards?
Yeah, like Joe, I'm just so focused on MMA at the moment. But anytime I'm watching, man, I'd love a crack off that. Like even my best friend, like Dylan Maher, like he fights Thai boxing. I was in his corner a good few times now, and like we train a lot of Thai boxing together. And I'd love a crack off him, especially when I see him getting ready to go into him. But that's another part of the retirement plan. I'll start banging out a few Thai fights too.
There's a couple of guys I think have kind of went that route, isn't there? Like just they've kind of stepped away from MMA and maybe went into Thai boxing and kickboxing.
Yeah, and vice versa as well. You see guys doing that a lot, you know. I think Craig, sure, like he's initially started jiu-jitsu because he wanted to go into MMA, then did Thai boxing, and then went that way.
Yeah, so I enjoyed knocking people out with them elbows.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
kind of, I suppose, before we finish up, is if you had to pick a favorite fighter, who would you pick?
right now it's the beast. Like, I'm just watching him so much. Like he's just good at everything, and he's so relaxed and so calm. You know, I've nothing to do but time and to practice stuff now, so I'm just watching all his fights and practicing all his stuff, you know. So he's unreal.
Yeah, well, I remember that one of the first times, it wasn't his last couple of fights, it was maybe before, I think it was the Jeremy Stevens fight, and I saw him, he threw this back kick against the guy, and it was very much like a shot that we would see in Taekwondo, and I kind of went, oh, that was the first thing I went, that's something different that I haven't used in MMA, so that kind of drew me to him, and since, yeah, he's crazy, like crazy takedowns, trips, crazy submissions.
Absolutely nuts, man. Like, and even his composure, like he's just really good at MMA as a sport. Like, that's what's great about him. Like, he just knows where to be and when not to be there, and he's something else.
Yeah, I suppose they have that kind of background of they're nearly training up there with Sambo. That's nearly as good as it's nearly the same as MMA. So I suppose they have that kind of background.
Yeah. And if you look at there's a documentary on YouTube that follows the beat, and he like went to this like wushu school. So since he's like 6, he's just doing like wushu, and like, but they're doing takedowns in it, they're doing punching, and like it's insane. It's like the equivalent of a Cuban boot camp for boxing, but for MMA in Dagestan. Like, it's unreal.
Yeah. Do you think he'll win the title at featherweight?
I think so. Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I think he'll do it.
Himself, and that's a good fight. Him and Volkanovski even is a
100%. And like, look what he did to like Jeremy Stevens. Like, he's a title contender, Jeremy Stevens, you know, and he beat him beat him well, like, so it's well able.
The only, maybe the standout is kind of hole is, can he go 5 rounds?
That's the thing, yeah.
He's tired a small bit, but I think sometimes in the third round he could maybe, because he's won nearly the first 2, come the third, he's kind of, it's maybe have this wrapped up kind of a thing. But if there was a 4th, 5th, I think he could maybe rally and come back into it. Yeah,
that's the thing. And you know, I suppose if you fight someone like Volkanovski that's going to put it on him, like that's a different situation again. But I suppose if he goes into it just knowing that he needs to not get tired, maybe his coach Mark Henry will adjust for that too, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. If you had to pick a favourite fight to watch, a favourite fight that you've seen all time, what would you pick?
Oh man, watch Fabio Pinca versus Bobby. If you want just entertainment, it is unbelievable. Like, they were fighting this K1 fight, like, and then the 2 boys just start absolutely smashing elbows at each other and everything. It's nuts. It's an absolute bar burner. So that would definitely probably be it.
Yeah, nice. That's one that, well, it hasn't come up. I like to get that because it help adds to my list as well.
Yeah, watch that after this, but you will be buzzing to fight.
Lovely stuff. I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I've enjoyed the chat.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
I've enjoyed seeing where you've came from, the plans going forward, and like that. Hopefully we'll be back training, and everybody will be back training and competing soon enough. Yeah.
Hopefully, and watch my pro debut as well, boy. There's nothing wrestling about.
I'll watch it in full.
Yeah. Cheers, boy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a million. Cheers. All the best.
Cheers, boy. Thanks.